This coming weekend, from the 3rd of August all the way until the 6th of August, there is a special summoning event. It is a 10-time summoning event for these two heroes. The first time they will be introduced to the global server. They are, of course, Vierna and Silas. Silas is a marksman for the Piercer faction, and Vierna is a mage for the Cultist faction. Silas is especially good at single target nuke damage, really heavy single target damage, piercing damage, and Vierna is a fantastic AoE damage magic mage. Really, really good heroes overall. But there's a couple of things I want to cover before we get into the actual heroes themselves. So, as you can see, there are multiple different banners. We see the Invocation of Spirits, limited rate up, and the Divine Summoning, limited rate up. So what this means is the blue shards, the rare summoning shards, rare summoning crystals, have a 10x chance of giving you these heroes. That does not increase your base chance of getting them. It's still only 0.5%, so 0.5% on a rare summoning crystal to get either of these two heroes. This is not a 2-time summon event, and it is not a joint summoning event. It does not include both of them together. So these events are typically not preferable for free-to-play players. The only time I would suggest summoning on these events are when you are very, very close to pity, which you've tracked yourself, as the game will not tell you how close you are. If you have a significant amount of summons saved up, enough that you will hit pity, or if you are not a free-to-play player and you're willing to spend in order to make sure that you do hit pity. Because otherwise you're just throwing summons into the wind and praying that you get lucky enough and you get one of these heroes. But even if you do get a legendary, it's not guaranteed to be one of these. You're just 10 times more likely than you normally would be. And I think it still leaves you with around less than 50% chance of getting one of these due to the size of the hero pool. So it's not great odds. You have to really bear that in mind, especially as a free-to-play player. And the second one, Divine Summoning, limited rate up. This is for the legendary summoning crystals. So again, the rate is not going to be super good for this. I believe without a 2-times event, you have a 6% chance for a legendary using one of these shards. So yeah, you have to really consider that your odds are not great as a free-to-play player. So the second thing is, you can see on Saturday, there is another summon event happening. This is only for 2 days. This is the Saturday and the Sunday, the 5th and the 6th of August. And this is a general 2-times summon event. So your legendary summoning crystals or divine summoning crystals will be a 12% chance instead, and you'll have a 1% chance of a legendary using the rare summoning crystals. So a much better chance to get legendary heroes as a free-to-play player. However, this is not shared. These are not stacking. Some people are uncertain about this, but I can promise you it is not stacking. These are separate banners, separate events. Either you're summoning on the 10 times and praying for one of the new heroes, or you're summoning specifically on the 2 times and getting any of the heroes available. They've even specified that these 2 new heroes are not going to be available in this event. They will only join the normal summon pool at the end of the weekend, so August the 7th on Monday is when Vierna and Silas will be added into the standard hero summon pool. How do we know this? Well, if you go to the menu at the top, go to Notices, Event Notice, Weekend Summoning Event and New Heroes Preview. But mainly you can see the details of the summon events here, and you can see there are 2. There is the featured summons, the 10x for the featured heroes, and then there's the crazy summons as they call it. But there's a note at the bottom. Attention, Silas and Vierna cannot be summoned in the crazy summons event for now. It does say for now, and we know how they like to be with their sneaky events. So it is not a bad idea to wait until Saturday, Sunday just to be extra sure in case they do something unusual. So it feels like that's generally a good idea if you're patient to wait until the end of the weekend, just in case they do something strange with the events. But from what we know at the moment, they are not joint banners, and Silas and Vierna are not even available in the 2x banner. So do bear that in mind. If you do want to get them this weekend, your only option is summoning on the 10x banners and not getting the 2x rate. So, with all that out of the way, the main question remains, are they worth summoning for? If you're risky enough and you decide you're happy to take the risk, is it even worth it? Or if you're willing to spend some money to go for the summons, is it really worth it? Well, if you've seen my tier list, you will know that I absolutely adore Vierna. I think she's one of the best heroes in the game. She's one of my favorite heroes in the game. And the rest of this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how good she is. So, let's get on with it. Vierna is the best mage in the entire game, in my opinion, at least the best AoE mage in the game by far, and we'll get into that shortly. And Silas is one of the best single target marksmen in the game as well. Just a point of note, although you cannot see them in the gallery right now, they're not added to this. If you do go to the events calendar and you scroll to this event, you can click on these icons to see their blocks in the game. So in this video, we're going to talk about their kits a little bit briefly, where I like to use them, and I will show you my Vierna in action on the Forerunner server, as I've had her for many months, and she is one of my favorite heroes in the entire game. Unfortunately, I do not have Silas, so I can't really go into too much detail about him, or at least I can't show you any gameplay. So since it's a bit cleaner and a bit simpler, let's start with Silas. I won't need to swap over to my other account. Silas is a marksman. He is for the Piercer faction. He has a standard attack range. However, with one of the epic or legendary Piercer Lords, he will gain an extra row at the front here on his attack range, which is really, really nice. He has reasonable base stats overall, a fairly low attack interval, a decent base attack as well, and a low base cost as most Piercers do. He deals bonus damage to airborne units, and every 6th attack becomes soul sniping, which deals 40% bonus damage and ignores half of the target's defense. He is a piercing type damage, as are the majority of marksmen. So massive single target damage, massive defense ignore. Basic attack is prioritizing airborne enemies, but nothing else unusual there. His ultimate is Shadow Cloak, which increases his damage by 60% up to 80%, and each attack becomes soul sniping, but it does specify that it ignores all defense instead of just half. So normally it's 50% defense, but I believe while Shadow Cloak is active, it is actually 100% defense ignore. Besides that, he has 2 passives. Blood Pact, which grants him 30% up to 40% damage increase whenever a unit within attack range dies, and it can be triggered up to 1 time every 20 to 15 seconds. And his other passive, Eye of Curse, after attacking the same target for 5 seconds, he curses them for 8 seconds up to 12 seconds, and his soul sniping will deal an extra 50 to 60% bonus damage to that target. So you can see his kit is fully just single target nuke. He is a really good single target nuker. And yeah, he's great in Guild Boss if you have an Araka or a Lunaria. He's very good in Void Rift, which will be coming out in the next few weeks, I believe in August sometime. I really think Silas is fantastic for Void Rift. I've heard a lot of good things about him there. He's obviously great in Gear Raid 3 as well. He doesn't really have much place in Gear Raids 1 or 2. He's good in Campaign, and he's good in some arena, more focused on the single target arena, as he's better at blasting down a single target due to his stacking benefits from Eye of Curse and from his soul sniping. So that kind of broadly covers his kit. He also has Lost Love, which is a unique bond skill. On the Forerunner, there are 2 of these available. The first introduced was between Silas and Vierna, as they are supposed to be lovers. I believe Silas was introduced on a Valentine's event, and this kind of was added to Vierna as well. So if you have both of them, they both gain a special passive skill. For Silas, which I think is the better one to be honest, after gaining Vierna, his soul sniping deals an extra 100% damage while his ultimate is in effect. So his is actually super strong. This is really, really powerful. So if you can get both, it's incredibly good. His awakenings as well are pretty good. Increased attack speed. This one is really good for Guild Boss. Having 3 marksmen in total on the team deals an extra 15% more damage. So that's really nice. And his 5th one is just increasing the physical damage to people marked with his Eye of Curse. The other ones are pretty decent as well, 2 and 4, but nothing crazy. Anyway, that's it for Silas. I don't really want to get into him too much, but overall he is a very good marksman. So, the bigger event, the main event in my opinion, Vierna, one of my favourite heroes in the game, someone I rely on in almost all content. Where possible, I will use a Vierna. She is an AoE mage for the Curse faction, a standard range, actually a pretty good base attack, nothing insane, but pretty decent. 2.6 attack interval, and everything else is fairly typical. 20 cost is slightly high, but not insane. And yeah, let's get into it. So, magic damage, of course. Talent applies Mortal Kiss on the target. Before we jump into it, just to say, I'm just going to very quickly cover her skills, but I do already have a video on Vierna going over it in detail. In this, I'm just going to quickly gloss over her skills, and then I'll show you some gameplay to show just how good she actually is. So yeah, Mortal Curse. When she attacks a target, she basically leaves an AoE area around that target, dealing damage. 25% is pretty good. Basic attack is just one enemy, 100% damage, but it will be applying these Mortal Kisses. Her ultimate. So this is the juicy thing. This is the biggest thing about Vierna. Reaper's Grasp. It's a manually activated ultimate with 900 rage cap, but can be reduced to 800. You start with 500 rage, could be starting on 600, so very, very good. 700% AoE damage, up to 900%. 900% AoE damage is just ridiculous. It is her attack range, so it is this whole area. 900% damage nuke, which is just really good on a fairly low rage cap. And after a delay, any enemies that are not elites or bosses that are lower than 25% health, or if you have a skill up, 35% health. So if they're under a 25% or 35% health threshold, they just die instantly. They all just die. So there's a brief delay, and if their health falls under that amount, they're dead. And you might think, well, that's only a third of their HP with 2 skill ups, but that's really good. And you pair that with an insane AoE nuke, you pair that with a Dolores boosting her attack, and Vierna is just instantly culling gigantic waves of enemies. She's insanely powerful. This ultimate just makes her basically busted. It's so powerful. Alright, so moving on. Soul Extraction. Killing enemies basically collects souls. Each soul gives her attack, and she can use some of these to get multi-target, basically. So she can attack 2 targets at a time. But yeah, overall it's just a bunch of attack increase and lets her multi-hit. Multi-hits will also be applying the Mortal Kisses, so she's just spamming out these attacks, which are really good. Her second passive is Skeletal Shield. I don't rate this that much, but it's nice, it's something. It applies a Bone Shield to an ally with the lowest percentage of their HP in range. And killing an enemy reduces the cooldown, so you can reduce from 30 seconds down to 12 seconds by killing loads of stuff. And it basically just gives them some physical damage reduction, and it deals some AoE damage around them. It's something. It's not incredible, but it's something. And if you have Silas, then her Bone Shield will also heal that target for 10% of Vierna's attack every second. So that's not bad. That's pretty decent. Your Vierna is going to be built a lot, and that will actually be granting quite a lot of healing to a single low health target in range. So it's not bad. It helps, but it's not really what she's about. Very quickly to go over her awakenings. The first one is what I have on the Forerunner server. Minus 10% magic resistance is applied on her Mortal Kiss. So anyone she auto attacks is now going to be getting minus 10% magic resistance. This is super good. This is really, really good. Obviously fantastic for Gear Raid 1. Second awakening is damage, which we like. Third awakening means that when you kill an enemy that has been affected by Mortal Kiss, they explode, dealing 120% magic damage to all enemies around them. Bear in mind, you're going to be culling entire waves using Reaper's Grasp, and many of them will have Mortal Kiss because you'll be activating the double hits. You'll be applying this everywhere. You'll already have Awakening 1, so you're reducing their magic resist, and then they all just pop like balloons and just annihilate each other with 120% magic damage AoE. So this is just filthy. It's so much damage. It's just incredibly powerful. Fourth Awakening reduces her cost from 20 to 18, which is quite nice. 20 is fairly high, so it makes her easier to use, but it's nothing insane. Obviously you want more damage, right? And her Fifth Awakening just means that her Bone Shield does double damage to Mortal Kiss enemies. It's something. It's not too bad, but it's something, right? It's extra damage, I guess, but it's not really what she's about. She's basically, Vierna is her ultimate Reaper's Grasp. That is what makes Vierna Vierna. Okay, this is the Forerunner server. So again, this is not the global server. This is the old test server, and I'm going to show you my Vierna. So here she is. This is my Vierna. This is how I have her geared at the moment. She is in Annihilating Might, and she is in the Curse set. I would probably put her in a slightly different set. Ideally, I would probably have her in the Soulbound Arcana set, as it does increase your damage by 10% permanently, stacking 5 times for every time you ultimate. Vierna, usually you're going to be ultimating quite a lot, so it'll be quite quick to get the stacks up, but I have that on Salazar at the moment, so next best set I think would be Curse. And on the left side, I think it's okay. Annihilating Might is fine. Alternatively, probably Calamity would be a good set to use on her, just because they get more attack to really boost her damage up. But overall, it's not a bad set. As you can see, it's all attack bonus mains. There's a bunch of reasonable subs on there. I even have a decent amount of rage regen, which is really nice because her ultimate is really key. So yeah, overall you can see 100% crit rate, around 250%-ish attack bonus, and 115% crit rate bonus. There is some weird stuff with the crit damage scaling. Normally you would expect the crit damage to be a bit higher, but I found that this works a little bit better. And rage regen of 43%. You may notice there is 0 attack speed on my Vierna. If you go to her first basic skill, attack speed bonuses do not affect basic attack. So attack speed is completely wasted on Vierna. You do not need it whatsoever. That's why I have none. I focus entirely on just making her as damaging as possible, as much attack as I can, a bunch of crit damage, and some rage regen. The Curse set I like because it's bonus damage, because it's up to 30% bonus damage if there are 5 enemies in range, and that's mainly when you're going to be using Vierna. So to show you how to use Vierna, or where I use her at least, you can see even for an anti-air team, I still have my Vierna in my team. It's just because her ult is that good. It's just not a good anti-air team, just so you know. This isn't a great team. But I don't have many of the top tier anti-air heroes, so I do use a Vierna. And if I remember, I place her first on my auto, but as you can see, she has a high cost. So it's kind of hard to get her down. But finally she goes down. She's covering these areas off here. Her ult comes up, and she just instantly culls the wave, beating even a Hatset. Obviously the Hatset had some range issues there, but Vierna just instantly killing the wave is really hard to compete with. And because you can just cull the wave, you can get a bunch of bonus damage out just by the timing, basically. She's good even in anti-air arena. She's good in so much content, it's just kind of silly. And of course I use her in Gear Raid 1 because that's just perfect content for Vierna. I use some other heroes as well that you're not going to be very familiar with that are kind of the star of the show, but Vierna is definitely contributing a lot as well. So you can see here the Dolores boost comes up. I've got a bunch of damage coming out, and then as everything gets weaker, Vierna ults and just completely culls them. So as soon as they're lower than that threshold, her ult is just going to instantly finish off the enemies. So yeah, that's why Vierna is so good. When you're lacking just that bit of damage to get them over the line, her ult is actually a big nuke. And then additionally, she culls with her execute mechanic. So yeah, it's just super good. Having those in conjunction is just incredibly useful. And yeah, that was Gear Raid 1 Stage 20, just completely annihilated. And at the end, I've just got some other DPS to get through Elwyn faster. But the main 2 stars of the show were my Cerberus, who's not on global yet, and Vierna. My Cerberus was only doing as much damage as he was because I have another hero that's not available on global yet, so I won't go into it too much. But Vierna is just insanely good. She makes everything work in Gear Raid 1 so smoothly. And if we take a look at the damage done, you can see she is leagues ahead of even my Karmet. My Karmet is also in really good gear. He's also awakened free, and he's max skilled. But Vierna's ability to just delete them at a 3rd HP just makes her overwhelm him massively. Cerberus is doing a fantastic job as well, and he has the benefit of a legendary Lord Garn, who's not in yet. But Vierna still wins just because she gets to kill everything instantly. That just buys you a lot of time, and it's just so good for getting through the waves safer. The timing can help a lot. It's just so much damage. She really does help in so many different parts of the game. If you see on my tier list, I've got her ranked S in basically everything that you can find a use for. I even use her in Gear Raid 2 just because if you can kill stuff quickly, then hey, it's great, right? So this is Gear Raid 2 Stage 21. This is my auto team. This is a ridiculously stacked team, just so you know, so I'm not saying do this. I'm just showing that I even use Vierna in here because killing stuff fast is very important. So now as everything gets closer to the line, you can just ult with Vierna once they're a little bit lower and kill them all off. But I'm waiting for these guys to appear. And now that everyone's here, I ult from Vierna and they're all gone. So now we have the next wave of enemies approaching. Again, we're just going to whittle them down slowly. We're waiting for all of them to group up. Her ultimate is nearly up again. And as everyone gets into range, we just ult. The entire wave dies again. And we just move on to the next wave. So yeah, she's just ridiculous. It's just insane. Being able to just delete an entire wave by herself. No other DPS are down at this point. It was just Vierna. And then I can bring in a Salazar at the end just to get the boss out quicker, as his ultimate just shreds the boss, right? But yeah, it's crazy. You can just find a use for her anywhere because, hey, it makes sense, right? Being able to kill everyone in one press is always going to be useful. As long as you can keep her alive, she's just going to be amazing for any content. And here is my Gear Raid 3 Stage 19 auto run as well, just to show you that I still find a way to use Vierna even on this one as well. So all 3 Gear Raids, I use Vierna. So I have my Dalin down for cost, Setram down to wipe these guys out, Maul to cover the right because I don't have Hatsa or the newly added Alora who's on the Forerunner server. Dolora is to boost Maul and a Fiorwin to cover here as well to deal with this guy. And then I have Vierna by herself on the left side of the map. There's a whole group of enemies that spawn over here that you need to kill, and it's better if you have a long-range marksman, but hey look, Vierna just killed them all, so that's fine, right? And why complicate things if you just have an I win button with Reaper's Grasp? So again, we have a bunch of enemies spawning on the left side. She can still hit a few of them at the front. She's applying her AoE Mortal Kiss, and you can see it's actually really hurt them, even at the back, just from the passive AoE ticks. They're not even in range for her ultimate yet, but as soon as they start moving into range, she can just instantly kill them all. Super good, super good. So that's it for my Vierna spotlight. I just wanted to show you that she is a really top tier damaging hero, just for the ability to instantly delete entire waves of enemies. I would bear in mind though that mine is in really good gear. She is practically max skilled aside from the auto attack because these were added later. She has a decent artifact, the Skull of Desecration with 2 dupes put into it. And she has her first awakening as well. So if you do get Vierna, it will take a bit of time to get her to this point. You especially want to get her ult maxed. It's just really important to make her more useful, especially the second one, the Execute Threshold, is very important for Vierna. But yeah, overall, I think she's a ridiculously good hero. And I think she is worth pulling on. However, as I said at the start of the video, if you're a free-to-play player and you've got like 40, 50, 60 summons saved up, it's very unlikely you're going to get Vierna. I would be very hesitant to summon on this if you're new to the game, you're not spending, you're a free-to-play player. She is fantastic, but you want legendaries. If you're new to the game, you need legendaries on your account, and it's not so good for you if you summon a whole bunch on a 10x weekend, you get nothing, and then on the 2x weekend, you only have 20, 30 summons available. So again, I would recommend if you're not a spender or you don't have a load saved up or you're not near pity, I would say wait for the next 2x event and don't be baited by the Vierna banner. She will be available for summoning in the normal pool alongside Silas after this event finishes. These two will be in the summon pool, so you will have more chances in future. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to go over this video. Just wanted to show you a bit about my Vierna and why I like her so much. I wish you all the best of luck with your summons come this weekend, and I hope you get her and Silas. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great day. Take care, and bye-bye.